this type of activity isn't even barely frowned upon. It's almost encouraged. But yeah, it's legitimately a business. So they are just looking for the most ROI.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're on another episode of Logical Technology, and I'm Ryan. With me today again, we have Joel Hershberger. We're going to talk about fishing today. Now, I'm a bass fisherman, angler, if you will. You like to fish for crappie, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about fishing and technology. So, Joel, help us out here. What are phishing attacks, and why are they dangerous? What do they look like?
Yeah, so I mean, long story short is just phishing attacks are a bad guy trying to send information or send you an email to get you to try and take action on something, to where they get you to do something that they want you to do. That might be giving them your username and your password, all types of different things, sending them money. It's just their actual intent out of it can really vary. But at the end of the day, they are normally sending you an email pretending to be something that they are not and get you to bite. So that's the phishing. I mean, it's really kind of like fishing. They're just throwing a bunch of stuff out there and hoping they get a bite.
Yeah, that's how you fish. But anyway, I have a question for you. In my mind, I just kind of picture this guy sitting in his basement, dark, he's wearing, whatever, but just sitting in front of a computer, just trying a bunch of things. Are just businesses vulnerable to this, or is anybody?
Technically, anybody's vulnerable, but the reality is it's not that guy in the basement trying to hack into some guy's system. It's most likely a whole group of people, basically a business overseas somewhere in some other foreign country. This type of activity isn't even barely frowned upon. It's almost encouraged. But yeah, it's legitimately a business. So they are just looking for the most ROI. So for an individual, they're probably not going to get much.
Right.
But for a business, they absolutely can.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of it is targeted toward businesses, but individuals aren't exempt. But small business is a huge target.
Sure. What's it look like? You mentioned an email. Does that mean, how would I know that this is not a good email?
So sophisticated phishing attacks, they're sophisticated, simply stated.
Yeah.
Those are difficult to see. But some of the more challenging ones that you see, basically what happens is you have a partner, vendor, client, somebody like that gets breached. They fell for a phishing attack or had malware or something like that to where their accounts got breached.
Wow.
And then the bad guys are actually sending emails from those legit accounts. These are the more sophisticated ones.
Wow.
To other people that they already know. So you might receive an email from a vendor or even a bank or somebody like that you normally do business with, saying, hey, your password to our portal expired. Can you please reset it? Or it can be such a variety of different things. But they're trying to do something that you are familiar with so that you actually take action on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how often, in our days, we get emails, we read them, respond to them as if we know exactly who's sending them. We see the face of the person sending them, but certainly these more sophisticated attacks could certainly be dangerous that way because they do simulate what we do every day.
Yeah.
What are some things we can do to prevent it?
Really awareness is a huge deal. So what I normally recommend, and it's oftentimes, honestly, Microsoft 365 gets hammered on phishing attacks because tons of people use it. It's really good, it's a good solution, but it's also a big target.
Yeah.
So the things there, let's say somebody is using Microsoft, a big deal is making sure that you have your Microsoft tenant security policy set up properly. That goes a long way. I always recommend having a good spam and phishing filter in place. Ideally, not just Microsoft's, because that sometimes leaves something to be desired. They have a commercial version. It's okay, but there's definitely other better alternatives out there. By default, you don't have a real spam or phishing filter on it.
Yeah.
So getting that in place, getting a real third-party spam plus phishing filter in place, really a good solution is filtering for a lot more than just spam and phishing. They're looking for viruses, the works.
Right.
And then the third and one of the more important ones is end user training. Because even if you do have great security policies, you've got an amazing spam filter, but one of your vendors gets breached or one of your partners gets breached, there is a chance that these tools cannot see that, because you've got ongoing conversation with this other person, and boom, all of a sudden it's hijacked by their own email account, not even by a fake email account, by their own one.
Yeah.
So training those end users is a huge, huge deal.
So, I mean, do they actually track your activity before they will send, they'll do an attempt or send a phishing attack? I mean, would they track my daily activity and my email to see what are my tendencies? Who do I send emails to a lot? Things like that.
Yeah, so if you do fall for a phishing attack to where they now have access to your account, you oftentimes won't realize it for a period.
Okay.
They are doing exactly that.
Wow.
Now the scary part is if
that seems scary right there.
Well, that is, I mean, that's already, you're already breached. Now bad things are happening.
Okay.
But let's say you're not breached, but one of your partners gets breached. So let's say one of our distributors gets breached, or we have a, whatever it might be. But let's pick on a distributor. They get breached. They're seeing all the emails that you are sending them. Not like, obviously they're seeing all of that user account's emails, but they're now also seeing stuff that you're sending, and they can start casing you and understanding how you respond.
Right. So somebody could potentially send an email like Ryan at Logivision Tech with an E at the end of it, create that domain and send that out almost like it was from me, but it really wasn't.
Absolutely. Like we see that a lot. Now that's where a good spam and phishing filter will do a good job, especially if you have impersonation filters in place.
Okay.
Where like there are literally filters tuned to see, okay, is somebody pretending to be Ryan? Because regular spam filter isn't like, they're not going to detect that E at the end if their settings are correct. Like if the bad guy's settings are correct, they're not going to detect it.
Yeah.
But there could, like, you do need to realize that it can still come through, but if the end users are trained, like you can still defend against it.
Wow.
They can watch for good stuff.
Wow. Good stuff. I mean, awareness, tools, training.
Yeah.
Like if we have those or familiarize ourselves, find somebody like Logivision that can help you with that type of a thing, that's going to be hugely beneficial in preventing these types of things from infiltrating your personal accounts. So good stuff. Anything else with phishing attacks? I guess, like, can a phishing attack lead to what they call like I hear people, my Facebook got hacked. Like, what's the difference?
I mean, a phishing attack is kind of a type of hack. Hack is just kind of this broad general term.
Yeah.
But if you're asking like what to add to it, like part of that end user training is never, ever, ever take action on an email that you were not expecting without confirming with a different method. Like that's the easiest piece of training that anybody can do. Yeah. So don't take action on something that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that in itself will solve a lot of the issues.
Awesome. And implementing the tools, the security tools, sometimes until you become accustomed to the process, it almost inconveniences you throughout the day. Like, somebody sent you an email, but it's sitting in your, sitting in Proofpoint or whatever. Thanks again, Joel, for joining us. I mean, I always learn something. I appreciate your passion in the IT space. So thank you. I'm Ryan. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us and learning more and more about technology. So we need your questions and topics. What do you want to learn more about? What do you want to hear more about? So send us those things at QA@logivisiontech.com.